It's been a tough first 8 games. There's no question about it. The lady who has covered it all, the Plain Dealer in Cleveland.com, joins us every Tuesday at 11 o'clock. It's Tuesday at 11 o'clock. So here's Mary Kay Cabot. Mary Kay, welcome.
All right, Mary
Dan's
Kay.
in for Andy today.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
We are well. Thank you very much. Okay, so here we sit at 2-6. We get nothing but people screaming that this guy should be fired and that guy should be fired and this guy should be benched and this guy can't do this and this guy can't do that. Give me something good we take out of the first 8 games.
Well, definitely something good that you can take out of the first 8 games is this incredible defense. If the Browns can somehow locate some offense, especially some passing game, I think they can still win some games this season. They have some winnable games coming up. And if you look at the AFC North, not that they're going to challenge to win it or anything like that, but they can keep things a little bit interesting in the AFC North if they can just find a way to pass the football a little bit. So I think the defense has just been, for the most part, dynamite. Now, they sprung a few leaks in New England, but, that's almost understandable with what's going on the other side of the ball. But to see Myles Garrett play the way that he's playing and some of these other guys on defense, I think that's something that Browns fans can hang their hat on.
Mary Kay, are there any rumblings or anything like that about any kind of coaching change taking place in Berea at the bye week?
No, that's not on the table. That's not something that anybody is contemplating. I mean, if anything, and I asked Kevin Stefanski this yesterday in on the Zoom conference, one thing that he could possibly do, and I would actually advocate it, is turning the play calling over to Tommy Rees just to see if he can't get something else out of this offense. They have to do something. What's happening now is unsustainable. Now, it will help that said Tillman's coming back if he can stay healthy, but they need something else. They need a change. I've also advocated trading for a wide receiver. I don't necessarily think that's in the cards, but I would do it. I would do it because even when Said comes back, who knows if he can stay healthy? And the other guys, a lot of them are really, really young. And once again, I think they can win some games this season if they can get that passing game going.
Mary Kay, the idea of Kevin, and I get what you're saying about that, but the idea of Kevin turning over play calling twice in 2 years, in consecutive seasons, that doesn't bode well for Kevin, does it?
Well, they've always thought of Kevin as a CEO coach and a great overseer of the process and the program. So I don't think it would necessarily diminish his role or his standing at all to turn over the play calling. He did it last year with Ken Dorsey. So, no, I don't think that would have him with one foot out the door or anything like that.
Okay. And do you think he'd be okay with that? Or do you think, is it a pride thing? Does he think he's good at it? Because it obviously hasn't worked for some time now. What is it? 12 of the last 13 games, 17 or fewer points. And so that's 2 different offensive coordinators. It's different quarterbacks. You could make the argument that the one constant is most of the personnel on the offense and Kevin calling plays.
Well, I think that Kevin is always willing to do whatever it takes to help the football team. And if he thought that turning the play calling over to Tommy Rees would help or possibly help or give them a little bit of a spark, then he would do that. There's no ego involved here. It's nothing like that at all. I think sometimes he probably just wonders if that would be the fix either. You don't necessarily want to throw a young coach under the bus if you think that, that he can be hurt by a situation. So there are all kinds of things that you have to consider in a situation like this. But I think that Tommy can handle it, and I think that they should try it. It might not help at all, but there's only one way to find out.
Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer joining us on the Fan Hotline. Well, we brought up Tommy Rees and Kevin Stefanski play calling and all of that. It seems, Mary Kay, the biggest flaw continues to be the inability to get the ball down the field for any kind of an explosive play. Why do you think they're having such trouble being able to find those explosive plays?
Well, it's not necessarily that they can't find those explosive plays. It's that those passes, in most cases, are not being completed. I mean, you saw Dylan throw a couple of balls downfield to Isaiah Bond, but they didn't work. So that's part of the problem. So I think that's one of the reasons why I would advocate trading for a receiver. I think that they need that deep threat. I really think they need that. I think that would help Jerry Jeudy too. When Isaiah Bond is that guy and it's not happening, he went 0 for 4 this past week, and a couple passes intended for him have been picked off. I mean, it's just that hasn't worked yet, and I think that's part of the problem.
Mary Kay Cabot joining us. Mary Kay, Myles Garrett has clearly shown his frustration. He's clearly shown his great play as well. If you're the Browns, you think he's long-term? If you're Myles, do you think you're long-term? Or would you look to be moved?
Well, Myles is frustrated, obviously. Myles is very, very, very frustrated. And he's having arguably the best season of his career. I think he's having the best season of his career. And so he's long talked about wanting to win championships and go to the playoffs and all of those things. And here he is, stuck on a team that appears to be going nowhere this season, and that's tough for him to take. I think in the offseason he's going to have some assurances that things are going to be different and why they're going to be different and how they're going to be different. I haven't looked at the economics of it, but I don't even know if it's possible or feasible to trade him after paying him all the guaranteed money that they already have. But I do think that he will want some acknowledgement that something's got to give for next season and that there's going to be some victories coming, or he's going to want. I don't know if he would ever ask to be traded again or whatever, but he's not going to be able to continue on like this and maintain his sanity.
And with that said, let me flip it. And you're right. I don't know the penalties that would be in place because the Browns have given him the big contract and everything else. I'm sure it wouldn't be easy to move him. If you're the Browns, would you move him, Mary Kay? Because it's clear to all of us, they don't want to say it, they're obviously trying to, at the very least, build. I won't say rebuild. Let's just say build. And Myles, where he is in his career, pushing 30, is this the right fit at the right time? Or could you do yourself a favor if you're the Browns and pick up some real draft capital if that's possible? Or young players you like?
Well, I think those are conversations they'll have to have in the offseason, but I think the fact that they gave him this blockbuster extension meant that they did not want to move him, and they absolutely wanted him on this football team. You would never do that unless you were thinking long-term with him here. So I don't think they have any plans to want to part with him in any way. I think they know what they have. They want him to be a Cleveland Brown, and they're just going to have to show him the path forward to winning.
Interesting.
Mary Kay Cabot joining us on the hotline. Typically at the bye week, Mary Kay, Andrew Berry is notorious for speaking, or at least so the past has shown that way. At least to this point, he is not speaking. Now, the trade deadline is next.
Where is he, Mary Kay?
And, I mean, the trade deadline is next week as well. It's just kind of funky. I know he's not required to speak or anything like that, but do you find it kind of, for lack of better terminology, weird that he's not speaking at the bye week?
Well, here's the thing. I think the thing that makes it weird is the fact that he's done it every single year since they have been here. The thing that doesn't make it weird is that most other GMs don't do it. When you look around the AFC North, most of those guys don't come out and speak at the bye week, and it's not a common thing that necessarily happens around the league. A lot of times, NFL teams will want their coach to be the spokesman for the football team during the season, and then the GM talks at other various points, pre-draft and in training camp and whatnot, combine and owners' meetings. But during the season, a lot of teams want their coach to just be front and center and not have someone else out there talking. So they made their decision this year to do it this way, and I know they're getting pushback on it, and people are confused about it, and maybe they'll change it up again next year, but this is what they decided to do.
It's just such an odd situation, especially poor Kevin Stefanski having to walk out there after the Tyson Campbell trade, then having to walk out there after the Joe Flacco trade. Like, I just feel for the guy with the fact that he's not the one making these moves. He's kind of just the one who's like being told what to do like all the rest of us and executing what our boss wants.
Well, I mean, these coaches are professionals. They can handle addressing those kinds of situations, and it happens all over the league. So I don't think anybody needs to worry too much about Kevin in those types of situations. It's not like he's up there quaking in his shoes, not able to answer about a trade. I mean, he's a tough-minded guy, and he can handle all that. I just think it's a strategy that a lot of teams employ, and the Browns, again, maybe because they're getting so much pushback on it, maybe they'll switch it up and go back next year to having him come out at the bye week. But I think they kind of want Kevin to be the spokesman for now.
Mary Kay Cabot's joining us, plaindealercleveland.com. Mary Kay, Dillon Gabriel with 4 starts has made you think what about his future with the Browns as a starting quarterback with the Browns?
I think it needs more time. I think he needs more time on task, and I think he would be better served by a receiving core that was a little bit more seasoned than the one he's trying to throw to right now. When you look back again at Carson Wentz throwing that, marching 80 yards in 10 plays on the Browns in London, he was throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson and Addison, and, those guys were out there just making incredible plays for him. So I think Dillon would be helped by a better receiving core, and he just doesn't have that right now.
The height thing isn't going away. Obviously, he's not going to be able to grow 6 inches or so. I think it's more of a question of this, though, Mary Kay, and I love your thoughts on it. Yeah, okay, he's not a 6'5" quarterback. I prefer 6'5" quarterback, 6'2", 6'3", whatever. But there have been guys around his height who have succeeded in the NFL, and a couple of guys that were big-time investments. Kyler Murray, Bryce Young, Russell Wilson did very well. Russell's not 6 foot tall. Is the height a bigger thing with Dillon than it is with those guys, or is it just his play right now as he's trying to figure things out?
Well, let's remember also that Joe Flacco at 6'6" was struggling with this offense and went down to Cincinnati and connected with Jamar Chase for 16 passes for 160 yards. So once again, let's see what this offense would be like if you put Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase on it. I mean, sometimes a quarterback is only as good as the production and the receivers around him. And the Browns do have Jerry Jeudy, but for whatever reason, Jerry hasn't been himself this season, and he's not getting the targets. So there are a lot of things that are going on just with the receiving core in general, but I don't think we can accurately judge Dillon Gabriel until he has a better supporting cast.
I agree with you. Well said. Mary Kay, thank you very much.
Appreciate it, Mary Kay.
Sure. Thanks, guys.
Enjoy the bye week.
Yeah.
Get some yard work done. Go see something nice. Check out the foliage.
You don't have to write anything about Andrew Berry. So
there you go.
Thanks, Mary Kay.
Enjoy.
All right.
Mary Kay Cabot joining us on the Fan Hotline.